Mommy. Okay, hello, and welcome back to Common Sense for Relationships. My name is Anite Baturi, and this is my husband.
Kingsley Baturi.
Yes, and we bring you on this channel valuable information to help you make better decisions in your lives and in your relationships. Today is going to be another interesting session, and this time it's Man Cave. And for some reason, the men decided to allow.
Anyway, before you be talking about things that are happening behind the stage in front of the camera, let's first of all greet the people that are coming to watch us online. Hello, everyone. Okay.
Yes.
I'm in a very tired mood, so we have to look for support, and that's why the Bible says you need to look for a help suitable, so that when you are tired, there'll be somebody that will help. But today we just want to greet everyone, and there is someone that we want to greet specially.
Yes.
This week was his birthday.
Yes. His name is Victor Silva.
Victor, happy birthday. We
Sweet
noticed
Lord.
that, yes, we noticed that this week, your birthday happened, I think 2 days ago. Your birthday happened 2 days ago, and we just want to celebrate you on the show because
Yes.
your insights are always valuable whenever you show. And sometimes, Victor goes through the extra stress of having to stay up just to be on the show because he's joining us from the UAE and he's 3 hours ahead. So when we are talking 8 o'clock, then they're talking midnight things. Do you understand? But we celebrate you and we do not take you for granted. So happy birthday,
Yes,
Victor.
happy birthday. Thank you so much for always joining the show and sharing so freely from your experience and empowering other people in that way. Thank you so much. So we wish you a happy birthday.
Yes.
And a beautiful and fulfilling year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. From the Common Sense family.
Yay!
Oh yes. Okay. All right. So welcome to everyone who is already online.
We can see
on Facebook, on YouTube. We can see Debbie and we can see John Jerry.
Yeah.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome,
Good evening.
welcome. Good
Thank
evening.
you so much for joining us on time. Yes. Okay, so like I was saying, today is Man Cave, and the men have decided to allow somebody who is not a man to come into the cave. So this is going to be interesting. And we are still on that series that we started last time, which is what the things I learned from my dad.
It's a what I learned series. So but I think I'm sweating a bit.
Yes, please, production crew, can you pass the hanky?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So from the last time, lessons I learned. Sometimes you go through life, learning lessons, learning different things, but and not everybody is fortunate enough to have a dad that actually teaches you certain things. Do you understand? But I was privileged to have a father that I can say, oh, I learned a few things from him. And even though he's been dead almost a decade ago now, over a decade ago now, I wanted to say, because of camera, I wanted to say decade. Do you understand? But because of camera, I have to keep it in English. So yeah. So but I still have recourse to a number of things that I learned from him. So
I still remember you people's gist under the tree. Many nights.
Many nights. In front of the
Man,
house.
midnight. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
those are fond memories.
Mhm.
But I don't know what you have learned, what you learned from your dad, or maybe even if you don't have fond memories of your dad, but it still suffices to say that fathers play a very important role in
Yeah.
in the upbringing of the child, in the stability of the family,
Mhm.
and by extension, be- in the stability of the nation as a whole,
Mm.
because the family is the smallest unit of every nation.
Hmm.
In fact, I dare to say, as we believe that every family is a nation in itself.
Mm.
I'm not lying. For those that believe the Bibles,
Mm.
they said to the lady, they said to her, they said, two nations
Mm.
and your womb.
Mm.
I mean, that tells you that it's a family that is the smallest unit of a nation.
Mm.
Am I speaking something
The way
today?
you're coming this evening
I'm
is as
coming
if
hot, hot.
it's
Don't
like
shout it.
so is it this green, is it this green shirt?
Just tell me you like the shirt. If you like the shirt, just tell me you like the shirt. Let me yeah, I wanted the other. I'm just trying to be. I wanted to open it small, so a small chest will show. Do you understand? And so you can see that my gym coach has been
Yes,
is
yes.
he's
You've
doing.
been working,
Yeah,
right?
I've been working.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
working.
You've
Yes,
been working and it's working.
it's working. Take it. Drop knuckle. Yes.
Oh my goodness. You've been
Right.
working and it's
And it's
working.
working.
Oh my
Yes. Yeah.
goodness. My
Yes. Yeah.
goodness. Okay, so thank you everyone. Yes, so what we have learned from our fathers. I
Mhm.
decided to jump in because I learned a thing or two from my father. So that you guys can maybe just get an, should I say, the female perspective
Hmm.
of what we learn from fathers.
I have a tagline.
What's the tagline?
A female perspective of manly influence. Alabagadaya. Oh my goodness.
Okay, accepted. Okay, so I'll start with you.
Okay.
So I know that you had a very interesting relationship with your father,
Hmm.
and at least I witnessed it for a few years, and in fact, I had the opportunity of participating in some of those conversations. You know, so a lot was said, a lot was heard. But what would you like to share with us
Hi.
from those discussions
There's
tonight?
the way you're flowing this night. I'm hearing a lot was
I'm
said.
drawing
A
strength
lot
from you,
was
brother.
said. A lot was heard.
Woohoo!
And I may even add,
Yeah.
a lot was shared. You know. But when I don't have anything else to say, I'll just touch my beard. We keep the flow. We keep the
Yes,
flow
yes,
going.
yes.
Yes. Okay, so one of the things that I would say my father taught me that I have fond memories about is something that you have already mentioned, and it is the fact that fathers speak, fathers talk, fathers are always talking.
Whether they use their voice or not.
Or not. They are always speaking.
Mm,
Fathers are never silent.
mm,
So that every evening I came back from school,
mm,
every evening that we sat in front of the house, we had this house that had some compound, not in Lagos. Lagos has it. I don't even know whether they have compound again because everybody is struggling for land in Lagos. But our house was in Abuja,
yeah,
so yeah. So we had a compound, as in the house sits in the center, and then you have a big compound. So we just sit down in the evenings with the breeze blowing, and we would just gist, right? And every evening he had something to say.
Mm,
That taught me that fathers are never silent. So if you are a father, you are always speaking.
mm,
Sometimes with voice,
mhm,
most times without voice.
mm.
You're always saying something. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So the question is, what so it's twofold. The first direction is, as if you are a father, what are you saying?
Mm,
The flip side of it is, if you have a father, what are you hearing?
mm, mhm. Yeah, I think that part is really good to add, because sometimes people focus on you need to mentor, you need to teach as a father, but there's the part where the child needs to receive the instructions, needs to
Yes.
say, I will adopt it, I will imbibe it, I will live
Yes.
by it, right?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
when Solomon says, put the instructions that your parents give you, you know, put
Hang
in your hand,
them
hang them around
around
your
your
neck and
neck.
stuff, that, you know, they are
Mm-hmm.
a life, their life to you, their protection, their shield, and so on and so forth, right?
True.
So it's really important. There has to be that part where the child says, I am going to live by these instructions that I have heard
Mm-hmm.
from my father, by these value systems that have been communicated to me. I will make them a part of my own life.
Life,
Right?
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, because there are some people who will see something good and still go another way, who will
Hmm.
see a good model and still choose, that's not the way I want to go, and they will end up facing consequences for their should I say, for their wrong choice,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's just the way life is. Everything has consequences,
Yeah.
right? You know, even though the word, when you say consequences, people often think of
The bad side.
the bad, but there are good consequences as well. So if you do right, if you do well, then what you get,
Mm-hmm.
it's a consequence of your actions, but
So,
it's a good one.
so
If you
it
choose to go the other way, then yeah.
just just to extrapolate what you're saying
Mhm.
is that in life there's always action and reaction.
Mhm.
So everything you do. So when we talk about consequences, is that any action you take,
Mhm.
for the science students, Newton's law of motion.
Mhm.
For every action, there's an equal
And
and
opposite.
opposite reaction.
Mhm.
And is a principle of life. Everything has consequences, whether good, whether bad.
Mhm.
There's if you take a decision, you must be responsible for what
Yeah.
will happen. So when you watch fathers,
Mhm.
fathers are a they have a burden of responsibility,
Mhm.
because they are always speaking, because they're always showing something.
Mhm.
They also have that duty of care
Yeah.
to be able to express it.
Yeah.
You
But
know.
you know how interesting it is to see how it feels like the home is on a good foundation
Hmm.
when the father understands his role, his
Mm,
responsibility,
mm.
and is fulfilling it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes just in being at home, it feels as if all is well because dad is at home. You feel so guarded and protected because dad is around. I mean, as a child, yes, it's not like you have checked out your father to say yes, he can fight 6 men. Do you understand? Or you have said,
Or you can fight Jackie Chan.
yes, or you have said he knows how to take up a sword and do all sorts, right?
Uh-huh.
Or maybe he has a gun somewhere. You know, back in the day, our fathers used to have those double barrel guns
Mm,
and stuff,
mm.
which I guess they used to use for hunting way back,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's not as if you've ever seen them use it, but somehow just knowing that they are there just gives you this sense of calm, this sense of peace, sense of all is well.
Well,
And it was just a good feeling. So, fathers, we celebrate you today, and especially every single one of you who is taking the time to be there for your families, to be there for your children, to be there for your wives, to just do everything that
mm.
you can do to make sure that your home is functional, is running well, and everybody is happy and at peace. God bless you all for doing such a wonderful job.
God bless good fathers. And me, I would also want to speak to people that probably do not have fond memories of their fathers
Mm.
or the things that their fathers have said. We're still looking at the first thing I learned from my father, which is fathers speak.
Mhm.
Fathers are always speaking.
Mhm.
And maybe you haven't enjoyed, or you do not like what you have heard or you have been hearing from your father. It's something I like to say to people, that each generation feels like they're getting the worst deal from nature. So every generation will try to say that, you people,
From life,
what
right?
huh?
From
Yes,
life.
yes, every generation feel like they're from life, they are the ones getting the worst deal. You people could do such and such because in your time
Mm.
it wasn't as bad as now.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing we said in our time. and our children will say in their time, and the people, our fathers before us, will say in their own time. So every generation has a different perspective of its time. But always understand, if you understand the timing of life that you're in, you understand that whatever your fathers did, good or bad, is a product of what in their time is regarded as the best that they could do. So there were good fathers that even in their best intention, they would have wronged you as a child. But that's the best that they know. So it would be wrong to live your life going forward looking back. Nothing good ever comes from it. So whatever memories you have of the things that your father has said to you, this, in whatever season you understand that it's the time to begin to what? It's a time to begin to re-engineer your mindset to know that you cannot hold on to that pain. You must do something in the present to do what? To protect your future.
Isn't that all part of the healing process? You need to heal, you need to heal. It's just like the same thing in relationships. When someone says you can't jump out of one relationship and jump into the next one.
Yeah.
You need time to heal, you need time to do some, call it, what's that stuff? When you're taking stock, when you're trying to see what went wrong, what should I do differently next time, and so on. So it's the same thing with people who have had traumatic
Painful
experiences,
experiences.
painful experiences, terrible things that they went through in the hands of loved ones, or with their experiences with their fathers, to stay in that place of hurt and pain, to just keep reliving it over and over again,
Yeah.
to keep telling the story to every person who cares to listen. I think it further reinforces
Keep telling the
the
story.
hurt.
Yeah.
It further drives it deep. It's like the wound was there, and you're just scraping further and further into it, and it just continues to bleed, and it gets bigger and it gets
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
even introduce an infection at some point,
Mhm.
But then, if you are able to allow yourself to go through the healing process, to even sit down and say, even if you can't understand it, some people will say, I need closure, so I need to find him and let him explain to me why he did that and stuff. Yeah, if you are opportune to, yeah, it might help. But just in case you don't even have the opportunity to, just make that decision to forgive, because in forgiving you're setting yourself free, right?
Right.
Forgive and then go forward with your life. It's not easy. Sometimes you need help, and I'm sure you can say more about that. But
Yeah, and that what you're saying is pretty interesting. The Especially people that I know a lot of people that say, "Oh, I need to see him to get closure." That's almost like saying I need to open I need to open the wound in order for it to heal. It's not always that way, right? It's not always that way. Healing primarily begins with you. Healing begins with you. It's not it's not when you meet the other person or whatever that the healing will happen. If you meet the other person and it's still as cantankerous as when you knew them,
exactly.
no, it must begin with you.
Yeah.
And when it begins with you, when you are whole, and that's something that we teach in coaching and in counseling, is to look at the wholeness factor even as a single person. Because every union, every home is a combination of single people, but how whole uh, is each person in the union that makes the home, that now makes the family. And those are some things that we look at. So if that wholeness is not there, you as a single person, you will keep turning around certain corners and thinking that, oh, until the day I see this person, that's the day I will get closure. What if the person dies before you see them? Do you understand?
Yeah. Or what if you see them and then they do yet another
Yet another thing that, do you understand?
Yeah.
So it just tells you that healing must begin with you.
Yeah.
And that's something to focus on. That's why I said it doesn't matter what experiences you have heard from the speakings of your father, you must do what? You must, at the point where you realize that, hey, they did what they could in their time based on whatever metrics they used to assume good and bad. But now that you realize that you are your own person, you must now decide for yourself, what are the words that are going to define me?
Now you said something earlier about balance and how um, fathers help to like set the tone in the house. Or do you want to say a little more about that? Because I have my own experience to some extent with that, but I'd like to hear yours first.
You're setting me up. But this edition, it look as if you're just
No,
interviewing
no,
me,
it's you that
and
said
you're
it
just
when you
doing
were
it.
starting.
That
When
what?
you were starting, you said, no, fathers, this, that. But you were just flowing. Oh, yeah, now I'm asking you what you were saying. What's the meaning?
Okay, which one? About the balance
Yes,
part.
about, okay, so let me share um, what I feel, my experience
What
that's connected to
so
what you
that,
said.
okay,
Then you
okay,
can go from
okay,
there.
so I can get
Yes.
perspective there.
So in my home, my father, regardless of how difficult any person's day was, how tough school was, or how stressful my mom's job was, or whatever it is that was happening, or somebody was upset with someone, and so on, he would try to bring some kind of, almost as if he's, what do you call it, diffusing, like removing the potency or the power behind whatever negative emotion
Was there?
yes. So he would somehow try to crack a joke, try to introduce humor somehow, try to do something to get somebody who was all uptight and frustrated to get the person to laugh. And sometimes you find out that when the one person who was uptight starts laughing, everybody else kind of calms
Calms
down,
down.
and then there's like fresh air is blowing through the house again or something. So that's my experience of a father bringing some kind of balance to the emotions in the home, like tweaking and adjusting, just to make sure, hey, it's here. It's almost as if he said to himself that his house is going to be a happy place. And he did whatever he could to do that, even in the way he disciplined. As if he said, my house is going to be a happy place. I don't want children crying because they have been beaten and stuff like that. So instead, he would lecture you and advise you and coach you. And sometimes the lecture will be so intense that you may still end up crying. But it will not be like that kind of cry that you hear some people crying from other houses that you'll be like, which number should I call? Like, can I call the police? Somebody's trying to kill their child. And then I have to tell myself from my house and say, hey, you can't love that child more than their
father.
more than
More
their father.
parents,
Even though sometimes you want to think that, hey, no. What could that child have done? But hey, discipline in my house left you wiser, knowing a lot more or appreciating a lot more your options for how to respond to something that someone did that you didn't like, an offense. How should you treat it next time? How should you handle? Is this the best way? And then for you to look down, 1 step, 2 steps, 5 steps, what is the repercussion or what is the outcome of your action in anger now? What will it do? What will you do? What will you do?
I'm trying to take some comments from Facebook and YouTube. I can see Queen Debbie says, "Good evening, Daddy KB and Mommy KB, AKB." Yeah, John Jerry says, "Hello, sir." Hey, okay, people are celebrating Mr. Victor Silva for his birthday. Lydia Chile, how are you doing? She says, my dad has a cutlass under his bed till date. I said that cutlass once saved the day. Yeah.
Yes. My dad had this box. I think it was like whatever. Like you open it and there were these old swords. Inside. I wonder if they ever used those swords, but it was there under the bed. Along with the jumbo barrel. Let's continue.
Queen Debbie says we celebrate good fathers. Martins says who they? Yes, who they? Please, Martins, it's a good place to share the link if you're following me on Facebook, on WhatsApp, yes, share the link. It's on my status. Just share the link. Timora is on energy. Yeah. John Jerry says fatherly symbol, whether blood related or spiritual fathers or mentors. Yes, yes, there's that. And then would you, hey, he say my dad still has his bed and trunk till date. No, he still has his own under his bed and trunk till date. So people can relate to it.
See now with these comments coming, I'm wondering, could it be something that had to do with the war, the civil war, and stuff like that? Because me, I was saying hunting, or maybe it
was the war. It was war. They were that generation was conversant with war, so protection had a physical element to it. It's not just they are protecting you as your father, but these days, as fathers, protection must have a digital element to it.
Yes.
You understand? In those days, protection had a physical element. Yes, but these days, the protection must have a digital and a spiritual element
because of where we are
in this generation. This generation. So thank you all. Please keep the comments coming. And please share the link on Facebook. Share the link on YouTube. Like I said, it's on my status. It's on my wall. Just share the link. Let's drive this conversation. The second thing you said, so to bring my own perspective of what you said, is the fact that fathers do bring balance. So one of the things my dad was like the thermostat of the house, right? Is that thermostat is correct? The other one is thermometer. My dad was like the thermostat of the house. He had a way of determining the atmosphere of the home. So even when everybody comes and everything is up and down, when he steps in, he has stepped in. When he steps in, he has stepped in. Do you understand? And you could see, I would often just watch him. And unlike me, well, you know me, they say I have energy and stuff. My father was a bit more temperate, right? He hardly ever raised his voice, but he commanded respect. Do you understand? So he had that presence that once he's in the house, everybody, even both the one we get the craze and the one with the craze get up. You understand? Everybody just arrange themselves. Do you get? Because the day that you are unfortunate to see his craze, you will just know that your own craze is learning work. Do you understand? But so he had that ability to control the atmosphere in the house. So he brought that balance, right? He brought that balance.
So something. So my first experience with your family, or should I say one of my experiences with your family, was acceptance. I'm wondering, did your father have anything to do with that? Because you know there's a general, yes, we went to everybody's house, and then everybody's parents were mostly nice, right? Even though a number of times most of the parents were not home because most of the parents were civil servants and stuff, and at the time when we young people were allowed to move about but still work hours, by the time it's getting late, everybody go
to your father's house.
But I remember coming to your house even at the time when it was like, okay, it's clear that something is beginning to happen here, and you kind of introduced me in the new way to your family. There was that immediate acceptance. It wasn't like, so I'm feeling there must be something there, because how do you accept someone who is maybe not from your tribe, not from your state, and so on? She's just friends with your son, and then it's welcome with open arms. Do you think your father had anything to do with that?
Yeah, my father had a sense in which he had this perspective that everybody is first and foremost human. So he believed in humanity, right? He had a concept where everybody, it doesn't matter their creed, doesn't matter their religion, it doesn't matter where they come from, that they are first human. And if they are human, they should be treated as human before any of the other qualifiers that you put around them. And that's probably where I learned the fact that nobody is treated less than human. Even the house helps and the people that were always in our house, they were treated in a way that if you came in, you would think they were family members, by some extension, right? So, as you would testify, every time you came to a house, there was always a lot of people. There was always different people because my father just took people as they are. Yes, beat him in the butt a few times because people are what they are. People are always going to be people, and if they feel like you can be taken advantage of, they will take advantage of you. But that didn't change who he was. He treated them as people first. Now, if you now introduce something else that makes that, if you introduce a qualifier that he can define and his value does not agree with it, then he will apply his own penal measures to say, okay, if you cannot stay with me because I took you as human, then I can treat you as something else. But I will not allow your loss of value to dictate my own values or my own standards. So he would rather send you away in order to maintain his own standards. So he had that concept of humanity, and that's something that everyone needs to understand, that people are first human.
Yeah.
People are first human.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. It's important, and it's important for even how we deal with people today. People at work, people in school, people in church, people on the street, people in your neighborhood. If you have to go with the Sesame Street flow, the
People
people
in
in
your
your
neighborhood,
neighborhood.
yeah.
Okay, now there's something else I'd like you to touch on: living with an empowered woman or living with a career woman, because that's one thing your father did. And I know I've heard stories that there were times when people came to meet him to say, hey, your wife, is she the one doing this or that, or is she the one earning more, or blah blah, blah, just trying to, almost as if they're trying to stir trouble, or they're trying to tell him you need to put her in her place and stuff. Can you share a bit about that, about how your father dealt with the situation?
I would say, and a number of these things I get to say is because I experienced them firsthand, right? Because I was that close to him, and and just a word out to fathers: you have to let your children come near you. So for those who believe in the holy books of the Bible, Jesus would always do what he said:
Suffer
suffer
little
the
children
children
to
to
come unto me.
come
Yes.
near to me. So fathers have to be approachable.
Mm.
Fathers have to be approachable. Um, if your children cannot reach you, then just know it's only a matter of time. You also will not be able to reach them.
Mm. Mm.
It's just a matter of time. If they cannot reach you, it's just a matter of time, because when that season of their life passes, they won't need you anymore. And when they don't need you, you won't be able to reach them. And there will be no remorse as to, oh, this is. Do you understand? So let me circle back. I think I needed to throw that out for somebody. There's somebody online. There's somebody that is watching that
Yes, yes,
needed
yes.
that.
Yeah.
Right. So I needed to circle back to what what you were asking.
Yeah.
Please remind me again.
Empowered woman.
Empowered woman. So that what I learned from him, like I said, is the fact that a number of times when he would share these things, like I always say, my dad would say, let's talk from sense to nonsense and back to sense, right? So those are some things he said. And when those things will come up, my father would always say things like, said, you must know who you are, right? And so he would say, the day that I have to remind anybody in my house that I am the head of the house, then something is wrong. You understand?
Yeah.
It means that something has spoiled. And what has spoiled is not first in the house, is in me, it means that I have lost sight of who I am. So whatever my wife accomplishes should not change who I am as the head of the house or as the father of the home.
Interesting.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So those kind of things made me understand, hey, whether the woman is making more or earning more or more industrious or is all over out there does not change the fact that you understand who you are. That's the only way you can make sense of who they are. Let me say that again. If you as a father, if you don't understand who you are, you will make nonsense of every other person in your family, who they are. You make nonsense of their identity. You make nonsense of their influence. You make nonsense of their impact.
Because you probably will be trying
you misrepresent it, misdefine it, miscommunicate it,
and maybe try to manipulate it,
yes,
or manage it, or force fit it, just so that it fits well somewhere under wherever you feel you are at the moment.
because your sense of self-worth is a lens through which you see other people's worth.
Interesting.
So if you're not confident in yourself, if you're not sure of who you are, you'll just be trying to find a way to make other people either not trust who they are or either not believe in their capacity or in their potential, just so that you can still feel good about yourself.
Her success is my success. I know that's another lesson I learned from your dad, from one of the stories he told. Her success is my success. And that was a case where people came and were trying to tell him, your wife, she's doing this, she's doing that, she's doing that, because your mother.
My mother does,
business,
my mother does,
oh my
yes,
goodness.
she does.
And I think they were expecting him to be intimidated.
You need to clip her wings.
Yes.
So that she will respect you as the...
And his response to them was rather interesting. I say, if she has plenty money, is it not our money? Whatever she's achieving, it's for the well-being of the family. So why? And I guess that was a good response. Hopefully, maybe some of those people went back and sat down and considered how they're treating their own wives. Because really, when you think of the collective good of the family, it ceases to be competition.
Yes, it becomes complementary.
Yes, it becomes, let's leverage all our resources. If you know how to sing, I know how to play drums. Let's do it together.
And sometimes even if I don't know how to do anything musical, if you know how to sing, I know how to clap for you from the audience so that you sing better. Because if they'll pay you plenty money, and all of us, and those of us that are the clappists, the clappists. Do you understand? It's to make everybody shine. The sky is wide enough for us all to shine. Let me take some comments. Grace then says, a few weeks ago I watched a movie. I watched a movie on Netflix, Trees of Peace. Indeed, fathers play a vital role. Fathers play a vital role. He says, okay, it was something else. Edet says, my father is a disciplinarian and a caring one who helped me to panel beat my life. And then you need to tell us whether this panel beating was physically, but he says he helped me to panel beat my life, and he encouraged me to go ahead and marry a Yoruba lady. Right. That's something else. Edit will probably take me to the fact where I still say that the fathers have a very critical role in the discipline of the family. So in his case, his father panel beat his life into shape.
Oh my goodness.
So in your case, like you were talking about your dad, even though you lost your dad when you were quite young, but in your case, your dad, his own panel beating was with words. Yes, so with those words, he framed your destiny. He used the words to frame your destiny.
Another thing about my dad was he really liked to play, right? So he would say, like he would watch cartoons with us, and then he'll be telling us, see what's going to happen, see what's going to happen. And then when the thing now happens, he will laugh. You think that he has not seen it before.
But he has watched it before, but he just
but just to be in our space and share the moment
fun,
with us,
share the
right?
moment.
He would do that, and then sometimes we'll follow him to the workshop. So all of these things, I mean, right from when I was little, you put him to workshop, he's fixing some cars, and you see technology. The polytechnics were good back then, no, because you see, they had in their mechanical engineering workshop this thing that you would place the car on and press one button, and it lifts the car so you can stand upright and walk under the car instead of digging a pit. So I mean, all of those things, you just go and you see, you're experiencing his world. You know what? My father is a lecturer. Yes, what does he lecture on? You can see it. You can see it. You can see his board. You can see a few of his students, and stuff. It was just good to be in his space, to be in his world, and experience all of that. And I think that's something that fathers need to pay attention to, because some people say that many men have raised other people's sons who came to work for them, but have failed to raise their own sons.
Because their sons didn't work with them.
Exactly. Because their sons are at home chilling while they go out and do the hard work and stuff, or their sons are in school, and when they come back, we just want them to play and relax. They don't follow you anywhere. They don't see your work ethic. They don't see how you pushed for that next contract. They don't see how you negotiated for a better deal. They don't see how you handled a difficult situation.
Right.
But somebody's son who came to work for you
can see all of this.
He's seeing all of that, and he's calling you, this is my mentor, this is my role model, and he's learning all of those things, and he's becoming a better man. And you see how some men struggle after building an empire. It's time to now hand over to your son, and your son doesn't measure up. If you hand it over to your son, he's going to run down the entire thing you have built, and you have no choice than to hand it over to somebody else who was there with you, learning from you, observing you, taking on all of those values that you had, but your son wasn't there. So that's something that fathers need to pay attention to. At what point do you start to bring your sons along? Bring them along to go and buy petrol with you. Bring them along to sort out some of the manly stuff at home. Bring them along for when you're going on your business endeavors. Just let them follow you, look the parts, dress well. Tell them, this meeting I'm going for, if you are able to, as in not like some places where your employers will say children not allowed, you can't even bring them for a day. But if you have some of those bring the family day or stuff, let them come and see what your work is like. Let them sit down in the boardroom, dress the part. You just tell them, keep quiet, you're not saying anything. Just stuff, right? And they learn on the job, they learn from you, they learn by inspiration. It's just something that should be paid attention to, because a lot of children miss out on that opportunity.
And that ties very closely with, I don't know if my dad was doing it deliberately or if it was something that just happened, but that's what I felt was happening at the point where he would always make time for us to sit down in the evenings and talk. And when I think back to those times when we talked, it was just like we were exchanging experiences, and that's why he would say we'll talk from sense to nonsense. We'll go out driving in a car, and I will see how he relates to Nigerian police. If you have not anything with Nigerian police, I see how you relate to Nigerian police. And it was from my father I learned that when police stop you, the first thing you do is look at their name tag, and call them their full names. I don't know, somehow that action alone has a way of either just, I think it just creates some form of rapport that makes the next set of conversations go very easily.
And I know another thing you picked was greeting.
Yes.
And as in the respectful conversation, because some people already come, once you're stopped, you're already acting confrontational.
Yes.
Like, what are you stopping me for?
Yes.
And then you also that But then there's a way that even somebody who was not having a good day, assuming you just douse whatever was brewing
Was
there
brewing in there.
with respect, with a kind word, with just something interesting to make the person just come back to
Yes.
this place where things are neutral. Yeah. So, um, darling husband,
Yep.
it's about time to wrap up this show.
We have not even started. We are trying to finish. Let me take some comments. Okay, I see why. I see why. Grace says, approachable. Approachable is very important. I have seen this particular one in school every day. Some kids say a lot. Some kids say a lot. Queen says it's the panel beat for me. Yeah. Jerry says, what happens to those fathers that smoke? We'll talk about Jerry's questions. What happens to those fathers that smoke? Jerry says, the rate at which some fathers negatively influence their children, especially the male children, is quite alarming. I agree with you. He said, interesting. Jerry, and what are you telling us interesting for? I would like to know. My wife says this has to be one of my favorite sessions because it's a bit different, right, with the flow. Jerry, let me tell you something about the fathers that smoke, and this is why I said what I said. This is one of the reasons why I said what I said at the beginning, right, which is the fact that some fathers, right, all that they did with you is actually all that they know to do. Do you understand? All that they did with you is actually all that they knew to do. For the record, my father used to smoke too. And when we sat in front of the house, he would be smoking. And I'm sitting there with him. And my father would say to me, say, oh boy, this thing when I did do. He says, my money I used to buy it. And it is killing me. But don't do it. Do you understand? For me, that was, I don't smoke today, obviously. But that was day after day. And he says, I will give it up. He says, I'm trying to give it up, but I can't help it. But this is because my father can talk to me. How many of those fathers do you think also had this addiction, had this problem, but they can't explain it to you because they don't know how to, or they don't have the avenue to do that? Instead, most men, like all of us can testify, a lot of us men, our response to weakness is either to deflect or to form something that is not there. So our response to weakness is to create a bravado or a persona that is what we are thinking we should be, rather than dealing with the weakness that we are.
Or more like make it seem like the negative effect is not happening in your own
In
case.
your own case. In your own case.
Or try to conceal or hide and then tell your son you must not do it if I catch you doing
Exactly.
it. And try to use force and fear. But the fact is, children often do what you do. And so whether you like it or not, one day they will smell it on you, one day they will see you, one day, and then all of a sudden you go from being someone they respected to being a hypocrite. So these are things that you need to look at. What do you really want? There needs to be openness. There needs to be honesty.
There needs to be honesty.
Yes, and where you see that, hey, I'm failing, I'm struggling, there needs to be vulnerability.
That was going to be the point that I'll come to, which is that fathers, one of the lessons I learned from my dad is that fathers are human. There was a generation that believed that fathers were supermen. So, and the fathers tried to live up to to that billing, to those expectations. And in living up to those expectations, it now made their sons it now either sets a bar that is too high for their sons, or it makes their sons feel like they are liars when they realize that they have weakness.
Like all the fathers who or all the parents who say, "Oh, I came first, I came first, I was
Mm.
always."
If all the parents were first, who
Who
was
was
coming last in
who
the
was even
class?
second?
Who was second? Because every father seemed to be first.
Oh my
That's that
goodness.
generation. Do
Yeah.
you get?
It's okay to say I wasn't the best student in my class,
No,
but I did my best.
I did my
You know,
best.
and that it's oh Lord.
So from my father, I learned that fathers are human and they have weaknesses.
Mm.
So him openly admitting this
Mm-hmm.
to me while we are sitting down there helped me to know that okay, people smoke, and some people that smoke may not smoke because they just want to, but they can't stop.
Mm.
They don't know how to. But he did stop before he died because he said that he was going to try when his grandchildren were born. He was going to try, and he was going to be reducing it. But by the time I think he didn't meet Micah. He died just before our youngest child. But so by the time our daughter was born,
Mm.
do you
Interesting.
understand?
Yeah.
So, but you see that it takes that, and that's why I say sometimes you accept that generation of fathers, except they open up to you, you may never know
Mm.
what their challenges were. You may never know what they were dealing with. So it's often presumptuous to say that he lied to me. What you may say he lied to me is him saying, I was trying to protect you.
Mm.
And we've
Yeah.
seen it over and over
You didn't
again.
need to know those
You
details.
didn't need to know. I was trying to protect you.
Mm.
Do you understand? You didn't need to know. But hey, it happens. And then you found out, and then because of that thing that you find out, you want to throw everything away.
Mm.
And that's why we always say in counseling and in therapy that healing must begin with you.
Mm.
Don't we There are forces outside of you that you can't control, but the force that you can't control the most is yours.
Yeah.
And that's where you must begin.
Yeah, and there's something that I sometimes I say it, right, and then people say, as in when I say it sounds like, are you not being a little too harsh?
Mm.
But I think of it this way: that people will choose what they want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
People will choose what they want to be. Someone will say, I had a bad father, because of that I am bad.
Mm.
But you will still find somebody who will say, I had a bad father,
because
and
of
because
that.
of that, I decided that I must be good,
good.
because I will not be a bad
bad
father
father.
to my own children.
Mm.
So who is really the one making people turn out a certain way? Is it the bad parents, or is it the choices of these people? Do you understand? So regardless of what your experience has been, you decide, you choose, what do I want to be? How do I want to
How
be?
do I want
What
to
do I
be?
want my life to look like? What do I want my own fatherhood or motherhood story to
To
be?
be? Yes,
What do
boss.
I want
Yes,
my
boss.
children to say about me after I am gone, or whenever they have to speak about me? What do I want them to say? And then make the necessary adjustments. If you didn't see a good enough role model in your parents,
Yeah.
find models elsewhere. Find models from people's books, find models from movies, because hey, there are many movies that will show you, hey, this is what a good home looks like, this is what a
Yes,
happy home
yes,
looks like.
yes.
You can deliberately look for those and know, yes, this is what good looks like. You don't have to say, I didn't have the opportunity of learning it from my father, therefore I don't know
I
how
don't
to be
know
a good
how
father.
to.
No,
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 no.
no.
Go and watch movies. Ask for
Watch movies.
movies that teach
Ask
about fatherhood,
questions.
movies that teach about the good home, all of that.
Watch Common Sense for Relationship
Yes.
again and again. We
Yes,
have a
yes,
What I
yes.
Learned from My Father series. There's a lot in there. We have an addiction series still on this same channel. There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
Dealing with all of these things, dealing with addictions, dealing with there's a lot to unpack,
Yeah.
in this. And yes, you have reminded me, and I'm reminded again. We need to close this session, but I think it was okay. But before we close, I need to tell them that we have an event tomorrow that they cannot miss.
Yes.
I thought you were going to talk about it now. At least
No.
so I'm still going to talk about it. Why
The
you like
event
this?
is live wire. It's a live wire event. Yes.
All right, we have an event
It's called
tomorrow.
Uplift.
It's called the Uplift. Now, the Uplift is a live wire event. Live wire is one of the youth and single expressions that we oversee. It has
At this present house.
at this present it holds at this present house, and we have a community of young people that just come together, talk together, network together, have fun together, ask questions, questions that conventional church cannot really answer, because not because church doesn't want to answer, or maybe church doesn't have the answer. No, it's because your regular church services do not have time for these kinds of conversations. But at this present house, Livewire is the place where you can come and have these conversations. You can ask questions,
Yes.
questions that young people are dealing with, and you see other young people there too, asking these questions. And we have seasoned speakers, seasoned mentors that we bring in to answer these questions, and nobody is nothing is off the table. Is non-judgmental, is interdenominational, and you are invited. It's holding tomorrow at the Dome, this present house, number 1 Freedom Way, Lekki phase 1, and it's at 4. It starts at 4, red carpet. But at 2 o'clock, those of us, me, I like to play too. Those of us that like to play at 2 o'clock, there's a FIFA PS5, FIFA 23 football tournament, and a winner must emerge. So if you think that your hand is strong, right, and you can do something, or yeah, come there by 2 o'clock. We'll be there already. 2 o'clock, come and play, come and show at the Dome in Lekki. Come and show whether your hand is strong enough. Yes, and there, in addition to the fun and games, there will be karaoke. There will be the tournament going on. There will be dance. Of course, there will be food. There's no way you can gather young singles and you not put food on the menu. So it'll be there. So it's a full bouquet.
Yes.
It's a full bouquet of an experience.
And any special guests?
Oh, we have special guests. Speaking tomorrow, Ayo Myro Essay and her husband Myro Essay will be there. We also have Pastor Dele Balogu, aka P Del, aka the Anchor. Yes, he's a different flavor, a different brand of a personality in himself. That's why we call him Daddy Wa. Daddy Wa will be there. And then we also have Chiagozie Inwizu and his wife, Pastor Mrs. Chiagozie. They'll be there to speak about career, and we're speaking about life and relationships, and we're speaking about fun. How in this day and age can young people have clean, exciting, fun experience?
Interesting.
It's fully packed.
Yes. So if you are in Lagos, please make it to the Dome at 4 o'clock. Or if you want to play football on PS5.
On PS5 phones, not this PS5. Just come and show us your hand.
Yes. See you there.
See
you there. Yes.
So we're expecting to see you there.
Okay.
All right.
So everyone, thank you so much for being with
Let
us.
Let me see if I can take some last comments before you close it. Last comment. Mayawa said this has to be one of my favorite sessions. You can tell PK and Mrs. Baturi had amazing father figures. Queen Debbie said, "I've seen." Grace, I say some of us can relate, but it will be. Jerry said, exactly. Children sees their father as their initial role model. Some call their father superhero. Jerry says, honestly, this is an interesting discussion. Yeah, addiction. Point there, ma'am. That should be a topic on its own. I think that's the point where you're making about addiction and choices and all of that.
About fathers
about fathers
carrying their children along.
and no, he was what he's talking about is the part where you're saying that fathers may show you one thing, but children would be what they want
Okay,
to
okay,
be.
I see
So
what you mean.
so it's a product of their choices and stuff like that. Jerry says, I love Man Cave so much, I can't stop watching. Queen says, live wire. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. We have to close the show, but remember,
Common
like we always
sense.
say, common
sense
sense is not
so
so
common.
common.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye. Bye. So, what do you think?
Thank you once again for joining us. We hope you got great value today. Our goal is to bring you valuable information to help you make better decisions in your life and relationships. Please do not forget to subscribe, share, and like.